And now, ladies and gentlemen, Skywalker.
Thank you, Jim Davis, and thanks for tuning in to Radio Memories here on November 10th, 2021. What a great show we've got for you today. Superstar, radio legend, Bobby Ocean, the guy who's been up and down the California dial. And this guy is so special with his delivery, his style, his unique way that he communicates with his audience. And he is going today to share his big box of radio memories. Joining us from his home in Modesto, California, the one and only legend, Bobby, what a guy, Ocean. Hey, Bobby, it is so good to see you, my friend.
It's great to be seen too. I've had a progression of names when I have been in this business. It started out as Bobby Ocean. That was my name at the radio station. So you go, hey, Bobby, come sit with me, Bobby. Hey, Bobby, let's talk about. And then after a while, that changed, and they started calling me Bobby Ocean. Hey, Bobby Ocean, come sit by me. Let's talk about this, Bobby Ocean. Hey, Bobby Ocean, did you shop for the? And now, at my young age, and look at me, I'm young and beautiful. I'm practically a teenager.
My goodness,
now,
you look the
now
same.
I have 4 names. I am the legendary Bobby Ocean.
I love that. I mean, that's me. Well, you got
ELBO, I guess.
You gotta love it, though.
Oh, it's fun. I fell in love with radio at a younger age than I am now, which turns out to be very much younger.
Well, can we start out? Where does your career? Where does Bobby Ocean begin his career?
Well, I started out without that name, and on the Monterey Peninsula is where I say I started out. The truth is, I actually had one job just before. What happened is I was a cartoonist trying to get published, and I would send gag cartoons into all the magazines that I could, and the radio's on in the background. And I whipped out a cartoon of what their promotion at the time was the 50-mile hike back in the Kennedy days. Get exercised again, you fat, ugly Americans. And so they joined the disc jockey on the 50-mile hike. Along the way, we'll pass out candy bars and all that and say hello. And that was their promotion. So I did a picture of this hulking figure of I don't know what, they didn't use steroids in those days, but if they did, he would be the one that would be the reason why you're not supposed to. Hulking guy with a helmet on, and he was the 50-mile hiker, and he had, just like Mad Magazine, they'd say something about the helmet and the arrow would point to that. They'd say something about the shoulders, the arrow, the boots, and so on. And I just sent a fan cartoon into the radio station. Well, they contacted me that they got my cartoon. Right away, I'm just out of my chair because I had been sending cartoons in for months to magazines and getting the rejection slips. That's how you start out. You get published. It's wonderful. And I'd met the cartoonists in my area and gotten advice from them and so on. But I got response from a radio station. Would you come and draw our disc jockeys for the music survey? Yeah. Yeah, but I have to come and see him, almost a deal breaker. I know I got to be there though. Oh yeah, come on down. Well, okay. So then I'm down there and I'm introduced to the disc jockey when he's on the air, and he's just become friendly, and I'm taking a couple of different positions, sitting on the floor and just chatting with him. And I became the station cartoonist. So every week there'd be a disc jockey cartoon on the survey or something, and I'd be in the background. I became the gopher, and I realized as I'm drawing the disc jockeys, though, I can do that. I could do that. You just say stuff and play records. I happen to have content. I didn't think in those ways but I realized I could do that. So when I was the station cartoonist during the day, I would come at night and practice being a disc jockey. And about 6 months later, I took a tape to the program director, Don Hoffman, pipe smoking Don Hoffman. Looked like a disc jockey, an older AOR disc jockey, or middle of the road disc jockey, we call him. But he believed in me. He says, yes, I will give you a recommendation, and you can have the job here in November. This is early spring, because Buzz is getting transferred out of the Army, and this is part-time for him. So now, those days I was hitchhiking around the United States, and I realized this is probably my last time, and I even got a job for a couple of weeks at a station in Panama City, Florida, lying to them that I had worked at other radio stations and back east in California. I mean, back west in California. I said I worked at K, and then just made up alphabet, just made shit up. I said, here's my tape. And the guy took my tape and he went like this and dropped it in the trash can. And he said, read these papers. He pulled some stuff off the wire and had me read that. And so I did, and I got the job, and I was actually there for about a couple of weeks. And then I got called into his office and fired. And they say you're not in radio until you get fired. So I got hired and fired right away. And why did I get fired? What did I do wrong? Can you tell me so I won't make this? No, it's okay. He says, you're making $60 a week. We got a guy for 45.
Okay.
I thought, oh, okay, well, I feel wonderful. Give me some money and I'm back on the road hitchhiking again. I have a job already in November. So the staff cartoonist became the radio disc jockey at KMBY in Monterey. And from there, a couple of years learning the finances, I'm just a kid, how I fit into society, what kind of money I'm going to require, a car and all this business.
And finally, that was a big station, KMBY.
It was, to me, the only one, and it's certainly just about the only one in the Monterey area. There was KDON and Salinas and so on. But these were the early days. They had some good people there.
Well, isn't that where Robert W. Morgan?
When I got the job there, I found this box of all these air checks. Over the years, people wanted to, get a job there. And now I'm practicing how to be a disc jockey. So I know the production room. So I take those tapes and I'm listening to them. And here's this guy, and I know that voice. I know that delivery. But he calls himself Mark Carroll. That's Robert W. As Mark Carroll when he was in the Army at Fort Ord working part-time at KMBY. Mark Carroll.
Wow.
We all have people we look up to. And if you listen to Don McKinnon, if you can find some of them, you'll hear where Robert W. is deeply impressed with Don McKinnon and his attitude. And
oh, you can tell that was his that he looked up to.
Oh, you can tell easily. Yeah, I can. I can hear it right there. He's just doing McKinnon, and then you become that. Like I've stolen from all these announcers and disc jockeys in my career, but after a while that becomes what I do. What's my suppressed excitement voice? Not you can win thousands. It's you can win thousands. Yeah. And how do you do that? Well, that came from the fact that I didn't have the deep voice like the rest of them. I have this voice that cuts out at the bottom. It's husky at the bottom, not deep and doesn't grab. I didn't know, but later on, they do researches on you when you're in the majors, and they've handed me some back that they did on me without me even knowing it. And it turns out that my voice always tests really positive females. Because that bitey thing that Van Dyke has, that scares the women away. Not scares it psychologically. It's not as friendly as my husky thing, I guess.
Yes.
So I thought, that's interesting. I'd rather have Charlie's voice, but but at least I got something going.
Well, there was something just so inviting with your promos, from Cal Jam too. I can't even do you anymore. I used to do impressions of you so well, but I a lot
of air in your voice and you got me down. It's just,
I haven't done
not
enough.
Just voice air.
But
there's one thing to say Cal Jam, put air in it. Cal Jam. Now mix them together. Cal Jam.
Oh,
It's in there.
oh, it was just so great, and you have these wonderful promos, and then how you would construct the promos, you know, on dun 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 KHJ, you know, and it was just so perfect.
Well, I found out that in a nutshell, what you're describing, well, I found out that I could use music as my punctuators.
Yes.
If it has a comma or a colon or an exclamation point, music would do that for me. And if you find the right music. And so naturally all the movie chase scenes were in my clutches.
Yeah. I loved what you did with K West 106 because it was very similar, but you couldn't do the same thing. So you did this. It went bum ba da dum ba da. You did K West bum ba da dum ba da dum, and it went dun. I can't remember how it rolled out, but it wasn't the same kind of thing as KHJ, but it went
K West 106.
Yeah, exactly. But it had this dun dun. It had a rollout that you went 106, you know, as it rolled out. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Things are different. The thing is that at each station, there's an ambiance there, and you're either encouraged or not. And it doesn't seem like you're going to get it from the program director or anybody who hired you. It's going to come from your fellow disc jockeys, I guess. It really could come from anywhere.
But there's nobody in the studios anymore. You know, the studios are pretty much empty. And when you have voice trackers, you don't have, you know, fellow disc jockeys anymore, you know, back to back. You don't have the guy following you or the guy on, before you.
Well, you're kind of almost saying that there's nobody in charge of the production room. It's just another room.
Right.
There's no production director. And you're probably right. If there is, his job is not, it has nothing to do with creativity. It's get out 85 of these.
And jocks
it
don't
used to be like Eric Clapton plays his guitar every day. Walt Kelly drew every day when he was drawing his comic strip. If you're an artist, you do it every day. They don't do that because it's not encouraged. It's a chore. Mm-hmm. Oh, 5 commercials today? Okay. 25 commercials today? Okay. And a promo too? Oh, damn. Okay.
And they're just kind of, they've basically made these templates for these promos, and they all sound the same because it has become a chore for them. And when you signed on K West 106, it was one of the best sign-ons that I've ever heard in my life with a radio station signing on. And talk about creative. That was just pure genius.
Well, I'm glad you say so. There are those who would say that's a bunch of showing off and masturbation of the egos.
Oh God, that was not masturbation of the egos. That was actually absolute pure creative genius. And that was just a wonderful way to kick off a new radio station. You know, 106 K West was an AOR station, and you were changing it to a top 40 radio station, essentially KHJ FM. And what you did with that promo was just sheer genius. I mean, you don't hear that stuff anymore. If you want to hear the same thing, you'll hear, coming up on this station, coming up on this station. They all sound the same. All the promos sound the same. And it doesn't matter if it's classic hits, doesn't matter if it's adult contemporary, they all sound the same.
What I want to know is what happened to the production rats like myself who really like animating commercials or production. I see a piece of copy. I don't just see the words. I see exclamation points. I see headlines and smaller letters and, asides and all that. It's there if you want it. It's available. It's been done, And
my friend Benny Martinez is the one who had taken me over to 6430 Sunset Boulevard, and he says, "Yeah, this is the new station," and then we ran into you, and he goes, And he says, you know Dave. And I go, and by you said, yeah, I know Dave. K-Hits 97, right? And you go, and I said, yeah, you remembered. And so we shook hands, and that's the last time I saw you. And it's I was so glad you were a part of that radio station. I complimented you then on the promo, the kickoff promo to K West 106. I said that was one of the most creative, and I have heard some great promos, kickoff radio stations. Don Elliott had put a great promo together when KIIS, KKDJ became KIIS FM and AM, but nothing in comparison to what you had done with that K West promo. That always sticks in my mind. I mean, just one of the most creative.
That's still floating around here somewhere, isn't it?
I've got it here on tape. I've got it. Yeah, I've actually played it in one of the shows that I've done.
Well, here's the thing about K West that brings me some satisfaction. It was another station before we came along.
Oh yeah,
it had years of being an AOR, but when you say K West, they automatically talk about Chuck Martin's station.
Oh yeah,
they don't talk about the other stuff.
Well, it's because 106 K West had no listeners. You know, the sad part about this is Frank DeSantis was the last guy on 106 K West, and they did the top 10 or top 5, I don't remember what it was, AOR songs countdown. And they had reversed in the last hour. Instead of calling it 106 K West, they were starting to call it K West 106, although they were still AOR. And Frank DeSantis is the last AOR jock, and he says, and the last song on the AOR countdown is Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, and I'll see you later. Of course, I don't think we ever heard from Frank DeSantis again. I don't know. But anyway, the song fades out, and there's some dead air, and you actually hear the processing. I mean, literally. And I have it here on the pad, and because you can literally hear the processing kick in. I mean, that's 106 K West had no processing whatsoever. I mean, zero zilch that you can actually hear K West 106 when they kick in the processing. And it's about a half a second before your promo starts. So the processing kicks in, you can hear it. And then all of a sudden, this will be our year. Took a long time to come. Bing, ding, ding. What a fucking great, awesome promo. And to this day, I still listen to that promo just because it's so fucking awesome. I mean, talk about creativity. I don't know how long it took you to produce that, but it was so fucking good. I mean, there's just no comparison to that anymore. And I keep trying to find something like that now.
I remember that the feeling at the radio station was much like that when Elvis died. Turmoil. And out of that, we were making reports, and on the air, it sounded very smooth. At K West, the end of one regime and another coming in, all the guys on the new team, Chuck, and they're all in music. They're meetings up to the last part of the day about music. And they just gave me the production. And I dragged them in, and because we were all excited about it. But I was so uninterrupted and given such an ability to drive the car the way the way I wanted. But the way I drive is I watch my programmers, I watch the information and the story, and it tells me what the car is going to be, how it's going to go. Mm-hmm. But in this case, I've been with these guys for many, many years, but also for just the last couple of weeks, just on top of each other. So I knew exactly what was going on. They knew different pieces of it. We'd laugh and talk about this music instead of that. The Ted Nugent Wango de Tango bit.
Love that.
Yeah.
I just love that.
So I knew we were making fun, but figured, so what, at this point, we got to have, we have to drive away the old audience.
Whatever that meant. I
Yeah.
love that. and then that away. And we're happy to have you along for the ride. I mean, just every fucking word was well thought out. Just everything you did in that promo. I'm
Well,
sorry,
now,
you don't find it that.
I haven't heard that for probably as for forever.
Oh, it's something.
Is it on SoundCloud, someplace where I can?
I think I can pull it up here.
11.5 minutes and counting.
If you're breathing,
Can you hear
folks,
this?
we're just about down.
Yeah.
Can you?
9 minutes till 6 o'clock at K-West 106. The final selection in the top 10 AOR countdown, starting
That's Frank.
with, we had 10, working our way down through the number one spot here. Led Zeppelin on K-West 106. I'm Frank DeSantis. I'll see you later.
Frank had this very clean delivery, just so clean.
Listen to this.
This will be our year. Took a long time to come.
before 1975, KWST radio had played soft, soothing music. Within the radio and record industry, this type of airplay is termed beautiful music. While on the streets, this kind of sound is called elevator music, or music to die by. Then came 1975, and the sound of K-West changed. It became album-oriented and played a lot of the newer artists. The music was generally very loud, and there was enough so-called heavy metal on the air to reconstruct the LA Coliseum so the Rams wouldn't have had to desert the City of the Angels in the first place. But there were some great moments and great artists. We salute the way it was as we began a new updated cycle. We hold our glasses high. Remember the talent and imagination of some of the real greats. Voices that carried their special message to us. Like... whatever that meant. Or how about this? Sometimes the messages were clear and the profits very dear.
The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast, the times they are a-changing.
Still true. The times continue to change, and K-West changes right along with all of Southern California. We go forward, boldly, into the 80s. That away. And we're glad to have you along for the ride.
Hit it.
The greatest hits of all time. All the time.
West 106.
KWST.
Los Angeles.
All right, it is time. It is time to wake up the people of Southern California. At long last, a place on your dial to make you feel alive. And now is the time, and this definitely is the place. So on behalf of the entire staff of the new K-West family, this is Chuck Martin. Welcome to excitement. Welcome to real radio. Welcome aboard the starship of the 80s. Let it roll. K-West 106, we're London and...
Yeah. I remember everything from discussing which lyrics on the Dylan, which lyrics from the song would be the most pertinent, all the way to the Chucker ID, which I fought them on that one for days. They slowed the tape down so his voice would be a little lower.
I could
You
tell.
don't do that
Yeah,
shit.
you can tell. I don't know why they made. Why didn't they have you do the ID?
Oh,
Because
that's
he's
not the
trying
point.
to
The point
sound-
is you don't do that in LA, you know.
He's
We
trying
all-
but he's trying to sound like you. He's going KWST, and it's going no. You can't possibly sound like Bobby Ocean. Let
Well,
Bobby do the ID.
That was
Let
one of those
Bobby-
things that this old radio rat walked in, and I realized the situation. These guys had been making that for how many hours, and they had fallen in love with it.
Oh
They fell in
God, it
love with
was
their
horrible.
shit.
It was horrible.
Well,
And then they finally got rid of it and used Mark Elliott.
yeah.
And I didn't
And,
think
and
that
I
worked.
didn't want them using me because
And I didn't think that worked either because Mark Elliott was like kind of pukey with it. It was like the greatest hits of all time, all the time. KWST, Los Angeles. And it didn't have the right sound. So, the sound should have been your voice on there because that was the sound that the jingle was made for. If you're not going to use Paul Frees like you did at KHJ because you can't afford him, then use Bobby fucking Ocean. He's right there. And obviously
there's some things that have happened in my world that have set me aside. I was out of a job. All of a sudden, another friend of mine went the rounds of California. I didn't want to work anywhere else. And so we went to stations I had no business going to, but he wanted to go. So I did drop a tape off there. And among them was KFRC. I had no business being in the front door. KGB, maybe one day. Kino. The thing is that Bill Drake and his organization got these 3 air checks from Bobby, except I was Radio Ray Farrell in those days. I was Captain Turntable. They got these 3 air checks from Captain Turntable from 3 of his different program directors, and they, who's this fucking guy? So they listened and they realized, I'm really green, but he's got the possibilities. So they had me come in and I talked to him, and I'm talking to, I'm in Beverly Hills, you couldn't be more intimidated. And they have me drink a couple of cups of coffee while I'm waiting, so I'm just, Bill Watson pulls me up to a little closet area. It's just about a closet, a roomy closet, had a desk in it, and like this bookcase full of air checks. And I see all the names of disc jockeys I know, and they're all trying to get a job like I am. And he's talking to me. And it looks like I might have a job, And all of a sudden, this voice from above my head booming from heavens just goes, "You're not going to be some kind of a star, are you?" And I look up, and it's Bill Drake, 6 foot something, looking like 9 foot something, because I'm in a chair. I don't know where it came. I remember what came out of my mouth, but it's like I had rehearsed it, but I didn't. It just whoop. I said, "Oh no, sir, just a business to me."
Yeah.
Well, you start Monday in Fresno. Kino. Your name will be Johnny Scott. And so there I go, and I learned the basics of boss radio and how you do it their way. They're telling me you have to forget everything you know in radio and do what we tell you. Well, you don't have to forget everything. There's styles and so on. But you have to leave those at the gate. You have to come in naked, be a trainee.
Right.
And I thought that was good because as things came in, I could choose them more clearly now, and or not. So I became Johnny Scott, discount DJ at Boss Radio. And about a couple of months later, I got a call from Watson again. He said, "Johnny?" "Yes, sir." Still not used to being Johnny. "Yes, sir." "You still interested in going to San Diego?" He said, "Oh, yes, sir." Because most jocks want to go to KHJ or KFRC, and I wanted to go to KGB, and I let it be known I want to go to San Diego. "You do still want to go?" I said, "Oh, yes, sir." "Well, you start Monday. This is Friday, and your name will be Bobby Ocean." And I thought, why don't you just name me Alvin Avocado? Bobby, I couldn't. So I said, well, I'll make it work. So I go there, and you become the name, and as you know, within a couple of days because you're saying it so much.
Yeah.
And I realized if I put a hipness on it, then this will work. If I just make it a clown, it won't work.
Right.
But if I make it a hip guy, it'll work.
It'll work.
And that's what happened. And I thought, oh, it'll work in San Diego, but I'll have to change it again when I go to San Francisco because, come on, Bobby fucking Ocean. But no, it became.
I thought it was the hippest name. I thought it was the coolest name.
In about a week, I realized I could push it in that direction. And after a while, it became the best name at the station. People are telling me, what a great name. And I realized I did it. I made it work. You know,
Yeah.
shoo,
Yeah.
shoo.
Yeah.
And so I kept it when I went to San Francisco. And really, I didn't want to be in any other state. California was it for me. I had hitchhiked across the United States a half a dozen times. I'd seen what was there, and I preferred California.
Yeah.
And I realized they have it. They have small markets, medium and large. I could do the whole career here, and everybody's telling me it doesn't work that way. So
Well,
I said, oh, but it turns out that's the way I made it work.
if you're confident and you choose your own destiny, and I really believe that.
Well, I do too. I learned in my late 20s, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, is a format. That's not just a saying somebody said in the Bible. That was Jesus telling you how you work.
Mhm.
You think as you visualize with thought and add feeling to it
Mhm.
and marry the two, it will become your experience.
That's right.
And so that's what I've been doing since San Diego when I first realized that that's the actual format. And now I knew I'd get a job when I needed one, where I needed one. Fear had eliminated itself from my world. With the Boss Jocks, you know, I got to meet Jim Carson, was a brother to me. We spent a lot of time at his apartment by his pool, drinking wine coolers and talking radio, of course. And all the rest of the jocks there. Mark Dennis was the guy who hired me. He was the program director at the time. And after a couple of, not even 2 weeks there, I went to Mark and confided. I said, you know, Mark, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm ready for this market. He said, oh, and he changed my life when he said, oh, you're ready for the market or you wouldn't be here. What we're doing is fine tuning you. Oh, I can do that. And that was a not look back moment.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I could work with anybody all of a sudden. Later on, I did. I worked with the weirdest people. Buzz Bennett, Ron Jacobs. These people are
well,
you bigger than life people.
Bigger than life. Yeah.
Way bigger than life.
So and you had to work with John Sebastian, which was different from KHJ.
Completely, yeah.
As you became Position 93 and All Music 93.
Which I said for a year, and that's about all I said. And at the end of the year, they came back, the RKO people, from their meeting in Miami and brought me a plaque that said Disc Jockey of the Year. For what? For what? But I took it. It's hanging around here somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Outstanding radio personality of the year for saying the same thing over and over again for 1 year's time.
That's great.
Just behind me is a bookcase. One of these rows is books written by people I know, you know, like Jerry Cagle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of them is a memo put out by, I think, RKO. I'm not sure, but one of the majors, saying, here's what not to do on the radio. And then you read it, and it's all the screw ups that people all over the world have done, you know, and it's just great reading. It just, this is fantastic.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
It's a serious thing. Don't do this. Don't make women die on your morning show by forcing them to drink too much water.
Remember Brother Tom Dooley?
Oh yeah. That was but that was a major no-no for the Boss format. But what he said was so harmless.
I believe Richard Nixon, President of the United States, and his close associates should be thoroughly investigated in regard to the concept, design, and execution.
I understand everybody ran frantically.
Oh yeah.
Towards the air studio.
Oh yeah, that was same thing as bringing a gun in. That you had not only broken the format, but you repeated it just in case you didn't hear me.
Yes,
I said,
in case you didn't hear.
Yeah. So he's saying,
and the board op got blown out for letting that happen too, for not killing the mic and going into a song, you know.
Well, that was a shocker. I don't know if he could collect himself. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows what? I wasn't there. I was at KFRC at the time, and I got a tape of it. And that was an audio suicide. That was just a career. My career is over at the kind of a moment. Now I look at it and go, too bad you got all political and lost a good job. Politics are always going to be wacky. I couldn't be happier to be born, by the way, where we are right now, where it's completely hitting the fan.
You know, the funny thing about that story is people are still getting fired for saying anything political. So they still don't have that freedom. You know,
you're
even
right.
though that Tom Dooley went on and said that about Richard Nixon.
Yeah, that wasn't so much a political thing. It was very political. I mean, but that was a format breach. That was the bigger sin of the two sins. That was the big one, because you can go on a talk show and say that kind of stuff, but you can't say it on Boss Radio.
No.
And so it was a shocker for everybody. And me, I've never been that kind of political. I see things going on as you do now. I know who I vote for and who I don't vote for. And I feel that there are, put this in the nicest way possible, improprieties going on in voting and just about every level of the government, to tell you the truth.
Every level.
It's pretty bad, but I'm glad it's being shown. I think we're going to be talking to each other on a Zoom can on a string for a couple of years until we get on the other side of this, but I'm sure that we will. When I say we, I mean we as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Because let's say you and I are on the same side politically. Well, the guy next door isn't. He's got a flag, and he's pissed off. Don't be pissed. Don't be pissed. We can have difference of opinions without you being pissed. Yes, but it's my money. Yeah, mine too.
Very, very strange time in the country right now.
The divisiveness is it's all over the place. It's really not good enough. First of all, you don't make it. I feel I've been played for my entire career because I was willing to do anything.
That's what's kind of sad is we were played. We
were, yeah. Well, live and learn. I don't care how old I am when I find out. I care that I find out, because I look at it now not on age or me in a body and a timeline anymore so much. That's not the only game in town. It's also consciousness. I'm playing in the game of consciousness, something we all share. And if we learn this in our lifetime, that's gets passed on in the consciousness field of information for all other consciousnesses who bump into it. And knowing that, it's not just us discovering it and writing it, but also the way we do it. Let's not get pissed off. What if we could do this without getting pissed off? What if we can kind of do it going, I'm kind of glad this is finally writing itself. Sorry, I used to think Hillary was somebody I would want to dance with at the prom, but I don't feel that way anymore.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I have to go nuts about it. I think she's done that for herself. I think the people who are as evil as they can possibly be have built a very tiny world for themselves that they have to control, and they're missing the infinity that's inherent in consciousness.
That's right.
Infinity. Infinity, no borders. I recognized that when I was on the radio station at a very early part of my career. We'd be showing the control rooms, and I never saw a control room. I saw a portal to infinity.
Yeah.
And all I have to do to get there is open this one mic.
Stay tuned. My interview with radio legend Bobby Ocean concludes next Wednesday.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Check out past interviews on the Radio Memories YouTube channel and on Spotify. Click the links. This is Maggie McKay for Radio Memories, a Dave Schuyler production.